Since the dawn of history, humanity has struggled with the darkness within its own nature. Everyone acknowledges its existence, but no one wants to see it in themselves. Is evil innate, or is it shaped by experience? It's relatively easy to understand how psychopaths can torture and kill without feeling any remorse. But the central question is, what drives seemingly normal people to such cruelty and violence? Modern science is trying to uncover the hidden forces that awaken the demons within us. Neuroscientific research shows that the concept of evil is a complex phenomenon, influenced by our brain structure, genetic predispositions, and environmental factors. But is it possible to neutralize our most deadly tendencies and change human nature? In seeking answers to these questions, scientists are exploring the darkest facets of human behavior. Science says evil is not just a moral failure, it is a disruption in neural balance. In psychopathic brains, the amygdala functions poorly, meaning there is no sense of fear or empathy. And the prefrontal cortex cannot control impulses. The result, a person sees pain but does not feel it. Empathy and the brain, feeling the pain of others. In Amsterdam, neurobiologist Christian Kiesers studies the roots of human cruelty. His main area of research is empathy, the ability to understand what another is feeling and respond accordingly. Kiesers shows participants short videos of people in pain and monitors their brain activity with an MRI scanner. During the experiment, participants' brain activity is observed as they watch various painful scenes. The result is astonishing. When we see another's pain, the same areas in our brain activate, as if we were feeling that pain ourselves, particularly the anterior insula and the pain centers. This happens thanks to special brain cells called mirror neurons, which allow us to experience others' experiences as our own. But this capacity for empathy is not the same in everyone. Some are overly sensitive, while others feel almost nothing. This difference is linked to the structure of the parts of the brain that relay information to emotional centers. Kiesers' research shows that empathy involves almost all parts of the brain, but it is not distributed evenly. The myth of psychopathy, empathy and its use. It is generally thought that psychopaths are completely devoid of empathy and are therefore capable of evil. But research shows the situation is more complex. Psychopaths actually possess the ability to empathize, but they use it only for their own goals. For example, to deceive people. Kiesers says, the most surprising finding was our research on psychopaths. Initially, a lack of empathy was thought to be the cause of their evil. But we saw that the issue isn't the absence of empathy, it's that they can activate and use it when they want. They use this skill to achieve a goal, such as deceiving someone. This means that empathy alone is not enough to understand evil. We also need a moral system to control our minds and deter costly behaviors. Psychopaths often lack these moral constraints. Evil is not just a sickness, it was sometimes a tool of evolution. The instinct to protect, the desire for power, dominance. These were necessary for survival in primitive times, but in the modern era, this mechanism clashes with morality. Is morality innate? The experiences of infants. Yale University's Karen Wynn and Paul Bloom believe the concept of morality may be innate. Karen has worked with infants for over 20 years and says, "The more I observe them, the more complex I find them to be." Through infants, we can observe humanity in its purest form, free from the influences of society, television, gender, and relationships. Karen creates moral tests that infants can watch and judge. In the experiment, a scenario is presented to infants using puppets. For example, one puppet struggles to open a box. Another puppet helps it, while another one slams the box shut, hindering it. After watching this scenario, the infant is invited to choose one of the two puppets. The result is astonishing. Even at a young age, like 5 to 6 months, infants tend to choose the helpful puppet. This suggests we are born inclined towards helpfulness and rejecting antisocial behavior. Why do people born good turn bad? According to neurobiologist David Eagleman, the answer may lie in brain chemistry and structure. He argues that our brain is a very delicate mechanics, and physical changes like an accident, illness, or tumor can fundamentally alter our personality and behavior. A famous example: Charles Whitman, who shot and killed 48 people at the University of Texas in 1966, wrote in a letter before his death that he felt thoughts in his head that he could not control. An autopsy revealed a tumor in his amygdala, the region that controls aggression. This tumor had caused his personality and behavior to change. When the brain's self-control center is damaged, the devil within us can be set free. This raises serious questions about free will. How much do we choose freely, and how much are we driven by biological mechanisms? Can evil be treated? Scientists are looking for ways. This is called prefrontal exercise. It involves exercising the self-control part of the brain like a real muscle. For example, an addict drug is shown pictures of others using drugs and is asked to resist their own craving. Their brain activity is monitored via MRI. Such exercises can strengthen a person's ability to make long-term decisions. This method can be used in therapy to manage certain types of addictions and impulses. A more controversial approach is brain stimulation. In Switzerland, scientists found that when a weak electric current was applied to specific parts of participants' brains, they behaved more fairly and honestly. This method is called transcranial direct current stimulation and modulates the activity of the prefrontal cortex. Could this be a tool for rehabilitating criminals in the future? This raises a serious ethical question. Is it acceptable to interfere with a person's freedom of thought? Creating a psychopath, genetics, and upbringing. Neurobiologist Jim Fallon has dedicated his life to studying the brains of psychopathic killers. He discovered that in the brains of psychopaths, regions related to empathy and moral decisions do not function normally. Later, while researching his own family history, he uncovered a shocking truth. His own brain shared the same characteristics as the brains of psychopathic killers, and there were criminals in his family. So he was genetically programmed to be a psychopath. So why didn't he become a serial killer like the others? The answer lies in his childhood, a loving and caring family environment. Jim Fallon's story shows that genes do not determine our destiny. A patient and loving environment can soften even the most high-risk genetic material. This is a key example of the interaction between genetic factors and the environment. Brain tumor and the boundary of morality, a shocking case from the U.S. In the U.S., a man whose name is withheld was living a normal life when he suddenly began showing pedophilic tendencies. He was married, had stable family relationships, and had never shown such behavioral signs before. Within a short time, an inappropriate interest in children developed, eventually attracting the attention of law enforcement. But medical examinations during the incident revealed an unexpected truth. A meningioma, a benign but pressing brain tumor, was found in the man's frontal lobe. specifically in the orbitofrontal cortex. This region is closely linked to the formation of moral values, impulse control, and the sense of empathy. The tumor was interfering with this center's function, altering his behavior.
After surgical removal of the tumor, the man's pedophilic tendencies completely disappeared. Within a few months, his behavior normalized and he returned to his former self. But a year later, signs of pedophilia re-emerged. A follow-up MRI scan showed that the tumor had started growing back. After a second operation was performed, these tendencies completely vanished again. This case has been widely discussed in scientific history and is accepted as real proof of the direct influence of brain structures on human behavior. The incident showed that sometimes behaviors that appear as evil or immorality have neurological, not psychological roots, meaning sometimes a person's actions are directed not by their will, but by the physical state of their brain. This raises serious legal and ethical questions. If a person cannot fully control their actions, how should their degree of responsibility be determined? Science shows that evil is not merely a mystical force. It is hidden in the complex interplay of our brain structure, our genes, and our environment. Some of us may be biologically more at risk, but no one is doomed by their fate. Research with infants shows we are born inclined towards helpfulness, but over time, the environment either develops or destroys this natural inclination. The brains of psychopaths may not allow them to feel the pain of others, but a loving environment can soften even the most high-risk genetic tendencies. Evil is sometimes not a flaw of nature, but a loss of balance. There is darkness within each of us, but what controls it is often choice. Understanding evil is the first step to preventing it. The future lies in how we use this capacity for understanding provided by science to combat both our inner demons and the evil in society. Neuroscientific research offers us new ways to understand the dark sides of human nature, but how we use this knowledge is one of the most crucial ethical questions facing humanity. Thank you for watching. If fate allows, we will meet again in other videos.